50s and early 60s were a tough time for South Bend. By 1963, Studebaker closed, leaving thousands of local workers unemployed. It wasn't a good time for Notre Dame football either. In fact, there was a long stretch of losing teams. Notre Dame lost to Northwestern 4 straight years. That all changed when Notre Dame hired their head coach, Ara Parseghian. We did some digging and found this 2009 interview by my former colleague Maureen McFadden about the era of Ara.
And here come the Fighting Irish, ready for their first game under new head coach Ara Parseghian.
This opportunity at Notre Dame opened up in 1964, and I was fortunate enough to get the Notre Dame job. I felt that there were a lot of characteristics that I was presented with at Northwestern that were here at Notre Dame. For example, the high admission requirements, the number of scholarships being limited. I'd gone through that. I did that, and we discussed every player every day. We did not want a good football player sitting on the bench. We would switch positions. We had a number of guys that were playing, wanted to be quarterbacks, wound up in the defensive secondary.
The result? Winning teams. In Parseghian's third season, the Irish won a national championship after a 51-0 win over USC. But that season is perhaps most remembered for what was billed the game of the century. That's when Parseghian opted to run out the clock against Michigan State and settle for a tie, the only blemish on an otherwise perfect season. The Irish returned to playing bowl games in 1970, and by 1973, found themselves in the Sugar Bowl against a fierce Alabama team led by the great Bear Bryant. The underdog Irish won that national championship by just 1 point.
How does it feel for you to be seen as the person who saved Notre Dame football?
Oh gosh, I don't feel like I saved Notre Dame football. I mean, Notre Dame football was going to come back one way or another over a period of time.
Why did you decide to retire when you did?
Because I was only 51 when I stepped aside. But I'd been a head football coach for 25 years. And as a result, I think it took a physical toll on me. I don't think there's any question about it.
And I want to be able to count on the Notre Dame Spirit tomorrow afternoon.
And I knew what was happening to me. I knew that if I wanted to be around a while, I would probably have to step aside.
Parseghian retired in 1974. Years later, he would take on his biggest challenge, raising money and awareness for Niemann-Pick type C, a genetic disorder that claimed the lives of his 3 youngest grandchildren. Now, I am happy to report this exciting news from the Ara Parseghian Medical Research Fund at the University of Notre Dame. Recently, the FDA approved the first drugs to be used to treat patients of Niemann-Pick type C. Now, it's not a cure, but it is a major breakthrough that slows the progression of this disease. Truly another championship moment. Coming up, Comeback Joe, the '77 championship team, and Dan Devine Jr. sets the story straight on the movie Rudy.